Good morning and it's a happy day. This is like a great time of year, right? Especially for church. A few days away from Resurrection Day. The weather is nice. The sun is shining if you're in the state of Florida. I think we have more spring. We feel more spring vibes than anybody else. We want to welcome you to the Deeper Dive. We're glad that you're here. The Deeper Dive gives us the opportunity to attend to the things that God has said to us as we've determined to be people who are most blessed. The staff is in the building. Pastor Brian is in the building with us this morning. Good morning, Pastor Brian. Good to see you. Pastor Brian, listen. I listened to, I think it was the second, maybe it was the first service. It was from first service. You're funny. You're funny, Pastor Brian.
You know what?
Don't let him sleep on
You
The
know what?
skills. You are funny, man. Listen,
I didn't know I was gonna receive love like that
I'm
today.
giving it to you, man,
I'm
because
telling you,
you're
that's
funny, bro.
I don't know why that was so satisfying
That
to hear those words. It
I
really,
felt it. I felt it on Sunday. As you were saying some things, and it was like, man, that is funny. I don't know if they giving it back to him like he's dishing it out because that was hilarious. This I
of
gotta
course,
bring this in. This the one. You're letting us know what we're doing, like what's happening, like what's been happening these last few weeks. Like we're preparing now
yeah.
so that when we get to the
Oh, I
moment,
know where you're going. Yeah,
we don't mismanage the moment.
yeah.
We going through this now. I love you. You said this is what you know
This is back like when your parents would give you instructions on what
the,
to do
before
5 minutes
you get to the
before you
dinner.
walk into the house,
Exactly.
so you don't embarrass. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
That wasn't
hilarious.
planned either. That just
That was off the top. That was hilarious. That was funny. I say, man, we getting the talk before we get out here in front of these people.
sometimes you gotta make it play.
You better remember what I told you in the car.
Just in
I
case,
told you.
just in case you missed the first 2 weeks. Let's just make this clear.
That's good.
You know, this is definitely a moment that we are walking into that we really need to be our best selves.
That's good.
You know,
That's good. I enjoyed that. I think an underlying point that's so important to keep in front of everybody is just an awareness of what's happening. Through our access to information, and everybody got an opinion to share. And you said it that man, today like no other time, people are making statements and sharing things without even referring to the truth, but
yeah,
they declaring they're making statements and sharing their opinions as if it is true, but they haven't even referenced the truth.
yeah,
And we have to be aware. We as a church have to be aware that that's happening, and not susceptible to becoming like their
yeah.
merchandise.
Exactly. You know, being led astray,
Mm-hmm.
any wave or wind of doctrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no, it is happening, and it is happening on massive levels.
Right. Yep.
Hmm.
There's so much information from the moment we wake up, we get in our car, we're bombarded by marketing,
Yeah,
and I believe every conversation, even if it's a short one, is intended to move you somewhere, and it's on you to be aware of where these people are trying to move you to.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. You know, it's absolutely so. There's an agenda, you
Mm-hmm.
know, behind. I know you were laughing about the joke, but right, you know, there is an agenda
Mm-hmm.
behind everything that's being said, and if you got to be careful because some people aren't telling you where what they're saying is taking you.
That's
You
good.
know, I know we say it in
Right.
a comical way, but it's like, listen, we are saying this because we are heading this way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is behind everything some is being presented behind every message. You know, um, even the whole Bible, right? It's telling us that this is written so you can believe in Him. There's an agenda
Right. Yeah,
behind
that's good.
every scripture.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and when you don't, it's not rarely is information given to you so purely for you to take away your own thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
there's always some type of tone or texture
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes it's not even intentional that the person who's distributing information is giving.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of the things that we've talked about that is almost like a little preaching point is to make sure that when you are preaching the gospel that you're not preaching it in a tone that it wasn't written.
That's right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know that a lot of times if it was written in a tone that was supposed to express love, but
Mm-hmm.
as the preacher or the pastor or the minister, you change the tone.
Mm-hmm.
If changing the tone could actually distract from the message,
That's right.
and so you always want to be like, hey, no, this was written in this is written in a context, but it was also said in a context too,
That's right.
and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that your tone matches the tone of what you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise you could end up pointing people in a direction. That's how people end up thinking that a God that loves them is mad at them,
That's right.
is because you read scriptures where he was trying to express his love in an angry way.
Yeah.
And so they end up interpreting it as he's mad at me. No, he's not mad at you. They read it in an angry way.
Right.
they,
They were mad at you.
they were mad at you.
They were mad at you.
God meant love.
Yeah. And they said it like
You
that.
know, and you can hear, I hear Pastor Dodd do all the
That's
time.
funny.
So, so God so loved the world that he gave his only son.
Mhm.
It made it seem like he struggled to do it. Like
Yeah.
he gave his only son.
Mhm.
So who would ever believe in him? And it's like,
Mhm.
man, it was hard. No, he wanted to do it.
Right.
Like it was
Mhm.
it was his pleasure to do it.
Mhm.
Like, so it's more like, man, God so loved us
Yeah. Mhm.
that he decided
Mhm.
to send his only son,
Right.
so there would be no question of his love for us.
Mhm.
Not as a ransom to be like, you see what I did?
Exactly.
Like, you see what he did?
Right.
You know, people will read it like, man, you see what he did, so make
Mm.
this choice. No, he didn't send it so he can have a bartering piece.
That's good.
He sent it so there would never be a question in your mind about how great his love is.
That's good.
You know,
That's
it's
different.
There's a difference.
That's two different
You know,
messages, right?
sometimes even now I'm having these conversations with Amber, and I tell her sometimes, Amber, I ask her, like, why do you think I did that?
Mhm.
And she'll say stuff like, oh, because I was nice, oh, because I was good. And I'll
Mhm.
say, no, it's because you're my daughter.
Mhm.
And just reminding her that, like, no, Amber, like, there's a love that flows from me to you
Mhm.
because of our relationship.
Mhm.
You know, and because I don't want her to start to, because I've seen it before, people try to figure out, like, man, why are so many Christians have such a performance mindset? Well, they
Mhm.
were raised with one, right?
Right.
Every time
Mhm.
they did something wrong, something was taken. Every time
Mhm.
they did something good, something was given. So
Yep.
you raised them to live life this way.
Mhm.
And so when they got to God, the Bible already tells us that, man,
Yeah.
it's that a lot of how our relationship with God goes depends on how our relationship with others have went.
Mhm.
And so now you took that word father, because you had an earthly father, you put that on your heavenly father,
Yeah.
and you're trying to make God live through the context of what you experienced.
Right.
And if you experience that type of performance based, like, then you get the God and you're like, no, but that's not how fathers operate. You're trying to figure out,
Mhm.
like, although you're hearing the truth,
Mhm.
you're not able to walk in that truth, is because there's years and layers of you experiencing something completely different,
Right.
and you don't realize how much. And so we talk about just
Mhm.
man, how God has to, like, clean us up, and how he has to purify our hearts. It's all those things.
Mhm.
You know, that, man, we were shaped in a lot of different ways
Mhm.
that weren't in the way God really wanted us to be
Mhm.
formed. But he's so loving that he
He'll
works
unmask
with
the
us.
lie.
He
He'll
works with us. And
unmask
that's when he
the
starts
lie.
doing little surprises. I call them
Mhm.
little winks.
Mhm.
And when you're like, man, I didn't deserve this, and stuff just starts happening, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to break you out of that mindset.
That's good.
It's not what you earned or deserved, man. It's because you have a father whom loves you,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah.
That's good. There's this I don't know if it was ever written, I'll say unwritten rule of marketing. It said that if you tell a lie often enough, loud enough, people will receive it like it's true, right?
Yeah.
It'll condition people to the point that they don't even question it anymore.
Yeah.
They just receive it like it's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been happening. It's not new. The way that it's being given is new today, and the amount, the frequency
Right.
is new. But there's some lies that have been told about the church, God's church, Christ's church, and they've been told so frequently, so often, so loudly that even the church has received some of these things like, okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
It might be true.
Yeah.
But the message from Sunday and the previous messages are helping us recognize and realize, no, this is what God intended. This is how Jesus sees the church built on Christ, for Christ, through Christ, right? Or by Christ. And just waking us up to receive these truths so that we can interact with people the right way.
Yeah, right. Because, and let's just go through, you talk about, like, agenda, right? And everything being said with a purpose and a point. Why are we saying it this way? Because until someone has a value something, they'll continuously let you disrespect it. And so the messages have been going through building a new value system, or helping to fortify a value system for the church,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding, man, this is why I shouldn't just allow what is being said over the airways to just so easily change what I have even personally experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Is because what it is actually valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And but people will always allow you to disrespect what they don't have a value for.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, so we had to create a value for the church, right? Understand that it has an assignment, understand that it was constructed in a very specific way, that you were chosen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you were set apart, you were snatched out of darkness, like it was built this way intentionally by Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And it has an assignment for Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
That if someone is attacking the church, they're not just attacking like what they see, they're
That's
actually
good.
going against the mission and the purpose of Christ.
That's
Now
good.
no one would say that, but that is
Right.
what you're
That's
doing.
what's happening.
Like if you're saying
Yeah.
something negative about Christ, you do realize it's to the church that Christ gave his assignment.
Mm-hmm.
So to attack the church is to actually attack the assignment of Christ, right?
Mhm.
Like you could be comparable to a Pharisee, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
you're running right there with it.
Mhm.
You know, nobody want to hear it that way. But understand that it's to the church that Christ gave his assignment.
Right.
And so if you attack the church, you're attacking his mission.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh, I don't like the way you said that. Well, someone had to say it to bring value back.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
You
good.
know, and I know we were talking about it this morning, just some simple things. You listen to opinions, but you're not referencing the truth, right?
Mhm.
You know, I was, you know, because I'm such a I love history, and you know, I'm very practical too. And some people are like, well, Jesus didn't have a church. Oh, well, do know like that his whole mission was 3 years long. Do you know how long it took to construct a temple back when Jesus was walking the earth? Like, even if he started a construction project the day he started his ministry, it wouldn't have been finished by the time he was resurrected and sitting next to God, right?
Right.
You do realize it wasn't even feasible.
Mhm.
Like, but at the same time, Jesus went into the temple. He didn't go into the temple and tell them to destroy it. He kicked them out and gave it purpose. He said this should be called a house of prayer. Like, so Jesus gave assignment to the building,
Right.
but he could have easily have said, you don't need these. That's
You're right.
not what he did. He
Mhm.
gave purpose to it. So there is
Mhm.
purpose to the physical structure,
Mhm.
right? But many people like, Jesus didn't have no church. Well, one, there wasn't enough time for him to construct one when he in the
Mhm.
lifetime of his ministry. And two, he walked into plenty of them. He cleaned them up. He didn't destroy them. He
That's
didn't go
right.
in there and say, hey, y'all, never returning this thing again. No, he said, listen, man, what are y'all doing in here is wrong. Y'all get out. This is the purpose of this place.
That's good.
And so you
Mhm.
gotta you gotta think like, wait a minute, that's the actual truth.
Mhm.
But people and even believers are like, that's right, man. Jesus ain't had no building. Bro, are you reading the Bible?
Right. Mhm. Did you refer to the
You
truth?
refer to the truth.
Right.
Like, people are presenting to you that the building itself that has no purpose, when Jesus said it's a place of prayer.
Right.
He gave the building purpose.
Yeah.
Right. You
Mhm.
know, so come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself why you wanted to believe the lie.
Yeah.
And that's the real
And
question.
that's the real question. So and even considering, like, this is for the church to be more reflective on,
Yeah.
like, why are these lies coming? Like, why are these
Bro.
things being said? What's happening? Why is the church under siege constantly? Like,
Right.
what is really trying to, what do we used to say? We used to say that if the thief comes because he knows that there's something valuable for him to take.
Boom.
Like, what's really happening?
Right. The church is, first of all, like, let's, and I said this week too, which just like, hey guys, what we should really be asking ourselves
Mm-hmm.
is, why is the church so powerful
Right.
that after all of that, it
Mhm.
still exists?
Yeah.
It still is here.
Mhm.
You know, and the reason why I'm saying that is because, man, you can so easily just listen to the headlines
Mhm.
that the church is just heading in the wrong direction. The church is just horrible and all sorts of type of stuff. And it's like, yo, some of this stuff is true because it's led by a group of snatched folks.
people. Yeah.
But what you got to
Mhm.
ask yourself, even after all of that, why are people still mortgaging their homes to start them?
That's good. Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, why are people still moving cross countries, leaving their families to go start them?
Mhm.
Why are there pastors why are there pastors who are working 2 jobs
Mhm.
like 80% of the pastors in America don't receive a salary from their church,
Right.
but they have been stewarding them for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, but no, you believe that
The
the
1%.
headline,
Yeah.
it's, I said, people's like, man, there's probably, it's almost like believing everyone in America is a billionaire because there's billionaires in America. Like, no, the vast majority of people aren't billionaires,
Right.
right? And you're looking at churches and people are like, oh man, it's because, pastors are after your money because they're building all of this and they want all this fame and fortune and all this type of stuff. And I'm thinking like, yo, this week I've talked to 2 pastors. One of them, this is truth. This week I've talked to 2 pastors. Dang it. Anyway, I'll talk about the one no one saw. But was like, man, do you think y'all would be interested in leasing my church? Man, I just can't do it no more. After 17 years, like it has, like I'm tired. I'm tired. But just think, he put in 17 years. And his only thought was, it wasn't that like he knew where he was, but he still wanted the work to go forward.
Right.
So let me call somebody I think will just continue the work. Like what is so powerful about this? That is the perspective of the people who serve it. Right. Man, that's what you should be asking yourself, right? Don't look at the 1 percentile, like, and try to judge the whole 99.
Right.
No, like, man, that's but that's what the headlines do.
That's right.
The headlines will say, man, all rappers are gangsters and drug dealers and all this type of stuff. No, you're talking about that one that you see on TV. Like, in your city, there's probably thousands of rappers in your very city, and none of them talk about selling drugs.
Yeah.
Right. But all rappers are drug dealers because of the one that they're talking about on NBC that just got caught with drugs. Like that one now defines all of them.
Right.
Like, you do realize that is the nature in which, like, a propaganda is shared.
That's what it
the media
is.
does things, right?
I can confidently say just about everybody in this room is ministered to that person who says they don't go to church because they don't trust the pastor. But it's like, how many pastors did you meet? I heard, or somebody told me, or right. It's like,
yeah.
What are you referencing?
And first of all, what are you devaluing? Right. Like, and so it's so important for us to realize, and I'll go back to the top, that when someone is talking about the church and someone is wanting the church to come to an end, they're literally talking about ending the mission of Christ. Like, that's how we have to interpret it. Like, wait a minute, you're talking about ending what Christ started. Because it's to the church that he gave the Great Commission. It's to the church that he gave the assignment of redeeming people and seeing him through them, that they will glorify God through your good deeds, that they will acknowledge God through your kindness, through your works, right? It is to the church that Christ is going to return, right? These are all the things that the church has been given the assignment of. And then, of course, like I say, the immediate thing people say, well, then the church is not a building. Jesus had Jesus had no problem with the buildings.
Right.
They're a place of gathering. They're a place of assembly. Like, it's, man, it's an awesome place for people to have and find peace, and and have a place to go and just soak in something other than where they're from, and get into an environment that is loving. It's a controlled context of environment, right? Doctors don't need hospitals, but you want to see them doing surgery outside? Heck no, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not out there. So it's a place that just creates the ability to be effective in the assignment.
That's it right there.
The
facility is conducive to what we do. You experience God, you experience love through his people, you connect with your purpose. The facility is suited for that.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't have the numbers in front of me, unless but man, the amount of churches that that set up and tear down. I don't know. It might be equal. Like the amount of churches that literally every weekend go set up somewhere that they don't own and tear it right back down. Like
right.
So look at the whole pie, right? You're looking at this one edifice that's 300,000 square feet and saying, look at these monsters that they're building, while you drove by 4 churches that are setting up and tearing down every week. Right.
Right.
You know, and it's like, you gotta
feel like it almost like realize what's happening.
Yeah.
Know what's happening. Recognize that you're being sold, or you've been sold. But I want to talk about this too, because and you're here, like the point was to the church, like church, you got to love the church, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about believers, like church people, us, not falling victim to the lies, or recognizing when you have fallen victim to the lie yourself. You've received some ideas about the church that, to your point, even if it's true, I like what the Lord said in Zechariah, I ain't even receiving the accusation. Like, even if it's true, I know the purpose of it. So I'm not going to allow what you're saying to put me in this negative space about the church, because I see what's happening. I see the value of it. So
yeah, I think it's, I love the scripture, right? The thief comes to steal and kill and destroy.
That's right.
But I come that you may have life and have life more abundantly. What we're saying is, like, the two options that every conversation should sit in. Like, if someone presents something to you, either it's bringing life or it's stealing, killing, and destroying.
That's right.
Well, if someone is presenting to you the church in the context that it's not bringing life, then you understand this is not in alignment with how Jesus would even reference this,
right?
How God would even reference this. I know I say oftentimes, like, hey man, if you're having a conversation with God and you leave feeling less than, you weren't talking to God. You need to go back, right? Like, and I would say the same thing about his church. If you're having a conversation with God about his church and you leave feeling like it's horrible, it's all of these things, then you weren't talking to God, because God loves his church.
That's right.
Right? He picked them. Like, he knows exactly who they are.
Yeah.
He loves them so much that he sent his son. So that not only can these people be a part of it, but even more. So if you're talking about people, like, I think God wins the vote on being the greatest lover of people.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you leave with these negative emotions, these negative thoughts, you got to understand you were in a horrible conversation.
Yeah.
That was probably half, like, people mixing in a little truth with the lie. What do they call that? Like they mixed it up, and you left feeling ashamed of something that you should feel proud of. I like, it's almost like we have to be just as, like, I was thinking about, oh man, that's pretty cool. When sometimes you get to conversations and, people, who your family is who your family is. And sometimes when people get to talking, you just kind of be like, yo, that's enough.
Right.
Like, that's enough for today.
Yeah.
Like I know we got some stuff going on, and thank you, but this is enough for today. And hidden in that enough for today is, like, I'm not going to allow you to give me so much negative information that I become negative about my family.
Oh, okay. You said it the nice way. I was thinking it was like, if you say one more thing about my mama, I'm gonna swing on you. Even though we both know.
But I'm saying that in the context of saying, like, in recognition of this, some things do need to improve, right? Some things do need to get better, but we're not going to get to the point of talking about what needs to improve that we're not acknowledging the good that is there. And so that's a lot of times I see it used in a positive way of saying, like, okay, that's enough for today. It's almost like if a husband and a wife are arguing, You know, you got to know
Got
when to
it.
be like, yo, this is enough because now we're crossing over,
Mhm.
you know,
This
and
is
some stuff could get said on the other side of these words that are greater than this problem. And we'll start seeing us as the problem, and we're not the problem. We have a situation that we're talking about,
right.
but now we're talking about character and not even talking about the issue. And so I'm saying, like, having those same type of, you gotta realize when, no, like, you didn't come to bring me information about the church so that we can get better. You came to bring information so that my heart could turn against it. Like, and so, like, this is enough for today. Like, you got to be aware of when the conversation is drifting into, like, whoa, you know, pause. That was the limit.